Hello, this is a prepaid call from an inmate at the Virginia Department of Corrections, Red Onion State Prison. To accept this call, press 0.
This is Randall Via, a.k.a. Red Onion Randy. I'm currently serving 1,214 years for capital murder and armed robbery. Now, and finally, at a level 3, Buckingham Correctional Center, stone's throw from where I grew up. If you have any questions or comments or want to leave a message or whatever, I've got a voicemail line. That number is 1-888-524-1932. You can also visit my website, which is new and improved and got different features and whatnot, at www.redonionrandy.com. I hope you do. Let's get started with the podcast. Hey everybody, this is Randy. This is going to be part 2 of my conversation with Celeste, former federal prisoner. And if you haven't listened to part 1, please go back and listen to part 1 so you can kind of catch up on what's going on. But since there's quite a few episodes with me and Celeste, and just give you a quick update with what's going on with me. I know everybody listened to the Celly Adventures. Well, I have a bit of a potentially good update. We'll see what happens with it. But my Celly just went the other day for his annual review. They lowered his security points down to 10, which makes him a level 2, which means he should be getting transferred from here to Doyle in the next week or so. And I've already got a Celly lined up and picked out and waiting in the wings. As soon as they come packaged, I'm getting the paperwork. Me and old boy are going upstairs to the unit manager's office, and it's going to happen the very next day, because I am not getting stuck with some random ass dude. Ain't happening. But here's me and Celeste. I hope y'all enjoy our conversation. So, yeah, to answer your question more fully, I reached out, because I craved a family. And the Marine Corps, the Army, the Navy, one of them could have and would have given that to me. I crave structure and discipline. That's when I'm at my best. So, nobody reached back. Nobody reached back, and I was in my 40s when somebody did, and that was Michael Garbutt. He's the one, through him, this podcast is here.
Is he in Australia? Is that the one in Australia?
Yes, him and his wife Julianne, who did the original editing and everything before health reasons, put it in Tweety's lap.
Yeah, how did that happen? That's so cool.
In the documentary I was talking about, I have the ability to pace the floor and close my eyes and daydream, and I can actually build it in my head like a 3D model on a computer.
Nice. I like that.
Say what now?
I appreciated that when you said that.
Yeah. So, he's a professor of art at the University of New South Wales, and he was really interested in what I said because he's, trying to teach his students that very thing. So he wrote me, and we wrote back and forth on JPay for a while, and then one day I just sent him an email like, look, this would be so much easier if I could talk to you. And I told him how to, because at that time, Skype, you could get an international phone number. And so we went through all that, and we got the phone number set up. There was a few hurdles we had to overcome, but we started talking on the phone. And after a couple of weeks of just talking, he's like, man, you would be perfect for a podcast. Let's do a podcast together. I said, absolutely. What's a podcast? He explained it to me. And it was like, absolutely. And we just we started recording, and one thing led to another.
That's so cool.
It definitely is. God has put some really, really good people in my life, but, for that long, though, I had nothing and no one. So back to your original statement about, the young ladies and whatnot doing time in the federal prison system being upset because their salad wasn't perfectly crisp. They forgot to put, a couple slices of bacon on it or whatever the case may be. Like, it comes down to perspective.
Right.
And that's the one thing among quite a few things in this country that our children are simply, the teachers in school are neglecting to teach. Math is good. Science and history is good. Those things have their place. However, we are not going to fix our problems in this country, much less take care of the world, if you do not start teaching young children how to, 1, think for themselves, 2, teach them how to have perspective and what perspective really is, and 3, teaching them how to actually learn. Rote memorization is not learning. You're just simply memorizing a formula and calling that education, and it's bullshit.
Yeah, I agree. I'm an artist, and one of the greatest sadnesses for me is like watching the decline of art and creativity. And that's one of the problems that exists in federal prison as well, is that, creativity and art heals. And like you said, it was finding that artistic space for creativity inside your mind that allowed you to thrive in such aesthetically void situation. And, really when you're talking about perspective, I think I credit a lot of that is due to the fact that children don't read books much anymore. And that's where we gain such insight and empathy and perspective for our fellow human beings. And I think you hit it on the head with that. I think that's so relevant. But
the thing is, it's not just about reading books. It's about reading the right books.
Right, there you go.
And that's key, because I'm sorry, but mandatory readings of the Twilight series is not. I'm sure they're excellent books. I even watched the movies when they played them on the DVD channel at Red Onion. They were okay, but you're not going to learn perspective from that. You're not going to learn life skills from that. You're not going to have that moment in those types of books that are going to change the course of your life.
I agree.
That doesn't necessarily mean you need to go read The Great Gatsby, neither. Because, hell, I've never read The Great Gatsby, and I have no intentions of ever reading The Great Gatsby.
Yeah, but there's definitely some literacy that would be better.
Absolutely. Call of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different books that, a matter of fact, a book me and Michael just came out with 2 weeks ago, You Ain't Beyond Saving. And that's part memoir, part survival guide, part self-help guide.
Yeah, Michael told me about it. I can't wait to get my copy and read it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate you ordering a copy.
Yeah.
But it's about, you see the differences between my life. It really highlights the struggles, the problems, the violence, the anger, the abuse, the mistreatment, the just being lost, to fighting to overcome, accepting who I was, learning to see myself and not allowing it to break me. And there's a lot of people, they're not capable of doing that. They take a true, genuine look at themselves and they can't accept it. But you have to learn how. You have to realize that. Say that?
Yeah, that reminds me, to come back to the situation with the difference between state prison and federal prison. And it reminded me of how the women in federal prison, they live in a huge pod, And especially since the pandemic, it's almost like they're always doing jail time. Like many of them, they stay in bed, they read stupid books, if at all, and then they just kind of wait around and wait for somebody to step in and change their life instead of taking the initiative to do it on their own. And so, I created a program that has 120 mentors now at SCI Aliceville. And I'm going to tell you, it was hard getting the mentors, first of all, getting them trained, self-motivating them, getting them to where they were self-motivated, and then getting the community to actually utilize the program and understanding, accountability and the goals that were within their reach, and to get up and do something that was going to translate to a better reentry. And I think I was a little surprised at how much work would be involved in motivating grown-ass people to try to reboot their lives, and I don't know, it kind of was interesting.
Trust me, you're speaking to the choir on that one. I know that struggle all too well.
I bet you do.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've done a lot of mentoring in your seasons there, right?
Yeah, nothing official. DOC has a habit of hating me because you cannot piss down my back and tell me it's raining. I see you standing there with a dick in your hand. Like, I ain't stupid. I'm some dumb, not plumb dumb.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not scared. Like, I don't have very much fear in me. Like, my fear isn't, I'm not afraid of fighting somebody. I'm not afraid of stabbing somebody or getting stabbed or shot or, to me, violence is my happy place. That's where I'm home. That's where I'm the most comfortable, is in extremely violent situations. Like, I can actually kind of step back and take a breath, all right, I'm home again. So
yeah.
I don't have that, I don't have that backup or give in me. So because of that, because of the podcast, because I did not do the documentary the way they wanted me to and hoped that, I would give them a 5-star rating. Well, I don't work for Travelocity. I can't give you a 5-star, 4-star, or 1-star. All I can do is simply tell the truth because that's all I do, to the best of my ability to do so. And so because of that, me and Michael worked on a program together called Building Perspective, and we did another one for accountability, though I haven't written that one up and turned it in because I'm waiting for, to hear back from the institutional program manager here on Building Perspective, and it's been over a month, and other people who's turned their programs in have received an answer, and usually in the positive, within a week to a week and a half, and yet my program has been sitting over there for a little over a month. So I do what I can on my own. If I can help somebody to read better, I will. Matter of fact, I had to help my cellie today write up a request form so he can try to get his accumulated good time, where for the last 2 years he hasn't received an annual review, which means he has not been awarded good time. So I had to help him write that up so he can hopefully get that back. I do stuff like that. I, of course, I see. So what?
That's powerful.
Well, yeah. I don't need DOC to pay me or give me a job or a title or whatever the case may be to help someone. If I see someone that needs help, I help. That's just all there is.
Yeah, good for you. That's awesome. So I have there's one thing else I wanted to really ask you, and how did you meet your wife?
So this is definitely an interesting story, Celeste. I met my wife. She had watched years before she reached out to me. She had actually watched the Red Onion documentary that I was in solitary look inside Red Onion State Prison. And, you know, the funny thing is she'd watched it, you know, pretty rough time in her life. And she's like, well, at least my life is better than his. You know, not in like a mean bitch kind of way. She just, you know, like in a perspective way. Like, you know what? Like, stop crying, girl. Like, your life is still better than his. So you've got something. Like, and you know, she went on for a while, and you know, but it just kept getting worse. Her life just kept spiraling out of control. You know, she started drinking more, using some drugs and whatnot, and you know, now she's completely clean, sober. You know, which I'm extremely proud of her for. But what happened was, one day she was at work, and I mean, she had one of the worst days you could have. Now, I'm not going to go into details because that's her story to share if she ever decides to. You know, but it was an exceedingly terrible day. Yeah, I can never think about that day without my blood starting to boil, and it affected me. But long story short, you know, with just that day, with just the abuse, just everything that she went through, just, you know, the family drama, the you know, just the problems in life in general, you know, and just everything that she was going through, the loneliness, and just, you know, the hurt and the pain and the trauma from just a lifetime of other people, you know, abusing on her and mistreating her, you know, a lifetime of, you know, bad choices and decisions, and so on and so forth. It came to a head, and that day she was on the train headed home, and she broke down. She just broke down and just started sobbing on the train. And the people that was in the train car with her, every single last one of them turned their backs on her, I mean. Not a single person walked over and said, hey, honey, are you okay? You want to talk about it? Nobody gave her a hug. Nobody gave her a pat on the shoulder, a squeeze. Nothing. They just got up, walked down to the other end of the car, and was looking over their shoulder like, bitch, how dare you make us feel uncomfortable? You know, not knowing what she was just put through. Not knowing, you know, how traumatized she was, how down and just desperate for any kind of help, any kind word, just one single kind word. And they were so caught up in their own lives that once she kind of realized what was going on, she just realized, this is it. I have nothing else. There's nothing left for me to give. I have no more energy. I'm done. And she made the decision to go home and kill herself and her dog, and you know, the world. So she felt better. You know, she got a little strength, a little energy for making that decision, and in the knowledge that, you know what, here in a couple of hours, it's all going to be over. I'm going to go home. I'm going to make an incredible meal for me and Blazin', and yeah, that's going to be it. Her pain and her suffering is over with. And about that time, somebody that she followed on YouTube posted something on his site, and it alerted her phone, and he was talking about the Red Onion Randy. Excuse me, nope. Sorry, I jumped the gun. That's my bad. It was talking about the documentary that I was in, and it was specifically talking about me. And as she was looking at that, somebody posted a comment underneath like, yo, bro, you know this guy's got his own podcast now, Red Onion Randy. And she was like, you know, it's a little interesting. And she, you know, turned her phone, went to doing whatever she was going to do. But when she got home, you know, she took a shower, cleaned up, she took the dog for a walk and everything, and she started making her last meal, or their last meal. And just something put it on her heart. Well, God put it on her heart. Let's just be honest here. I know who it was. You know, God put it on her heart to actually just go and check out my podcast. So she looked it up, she found it, and she started listening to it. And while she was sitting there cooking and everything, she listened and she wound up binge listening. You know, she just a whole bunch of episodes, basically all night kind of thing, until she just simply fell asleep and woke up and started listening to some more. And my story, you know, it touched her. It touched her heart. It gave her the strength to make the decision not to quit, to not give up, to not, you know, kill herself and her dog. And, you know, she still had some she had to go through, you know, before she could come out clean on the other side. And she did that. She's working for, you know, two incredibly talented, well, one is an extremely talented makeup artist in Kitty, you know, which is, you know, like a sister to Nick. And now she's working for Ella's, you know, which is an actual salon doing laser removal, tattoo removal, skin rejuvenation, like, you know, all of these beauty type things. So she's got two jobs now. I mean, she went back to school. She's, you know, she's graduated in the top of her classes. Like, she's done extremely well. Since she walked away from porn, she walked away from drugs, she walked away from alcohol. I mean, she walked away from a lot of stuff. She's overcome a lot of stuff. And just one of them days, just I don't even know how many days it was after she, you know, listened to just basically all of my podcasts, you know, and some of them over and over again and everything. And she just decided to just write a letter to me. She'd never done anything like that before. So, you know, she hunted down how, and she found out, you know, she could write me through JPay. So she wrote me an email and, you know, started it off like, you know, I just want you to know I think you saved my life the other day. And she just started just, you know, telling me some about herself and her life and everything. And I had wrote her back. You know, and the crazy thing is, when it was on a Sabbath, it was on a Saturday, so I went out to the kiosk. I remember exactly where I was at. I was still in Red Onion State Prison at the time. It was 2022. I can't remember the exact date. I know it was October, because it was right before I got transferred on the 13th of October 22 to when I got screwed and sent to Waller's Ridge instead of King Mountain like I was supposed to have been sent. And then I had to wait another 18 months to get there. But so it was that Saturday before the 13th, whatever that day was. And I remember going out, sinking my player, going back into the cell, laying down, and occasionally I go through my contacts to see if anybody new had signed up to write me or whatnot. And I saw her name. And it was outlined in purple because each name has a different color. And when you get to, like, all the colors are used, then it just basically kind of cycles through and, you know, does the colors all over again. And hers was purple. And I just remember looking at that name and just thinking to myself, watch it, this right here, this is going to be my wife. This is going to be the woman I marry. And a couple of years later, we got married. You know, but I'd wrote her back and I'd talked to her, you know, I encouraged her. We eventually got the phone call set up. We eventually started doing video visits, and she's my kind of woman. She's everything and more that I could possibly want and need, all wrapped up into one. She is way too freaking good for me. I genuinely don't deserve her, but I'm not getting rid of her for nothing in this world. I love the fact that she's a fighter. I love the fact that, her story would just bring tears to just the coldest heart. It would soften the coldest heart. She's a fighter. I couldn't be more proud of her than I am. I love absolutely everything about this woman. She's absolutely and utterly amazing. But yeah, that's the story of how we met.
That's a cool story. Thank you for sharing that with me.
You're welcome. As a matter of fact, actually yesterday was our 1-year anniversary.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah. I'm going to have to record a podcast on that sometime this week.
Yeah, for sure. She would be overjoyed, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
this I wanted to ask you about. It's kind of back to the comparison between state prison and federal prison. It's on a little more delicate topic. I let me start by saying that when I researched how other countries, especially like in Europe and Norway and Finland and Sweden, how their prisoners, Iceland, Greenland, where they keep them in communal colleges or allow them to have conjugal visits in order to keep down like the savagery of rape and assault that takes place in federal prison.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this next time.
We'll definitely hold that question, because that's a really, really interesting subject for me also, is the comparisons between Northern Europe and America and other places.
Right.
But yeah, we'll definitely have to set some more episodes up, because I think this is going to be a regular.
I love that idea, Randy. It's so amazing to meet you.
You too, man. Thank you for joining our podcast and sharing your struggles and what you went through in life.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'll talk to you again.
Absolutely. You have a wonderful day.
You too. I'll be thinking about you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. That's all the time we have for now. I appreciate you listening to me more than you'll probably ever know. I just want to let you know, don't forget to check out my website, RightOnYouRandy.com. And for those of you who want to hear more, or you want to listen to the episodes commercial-free, or hear me and my editor discuss a little bit further into the episodes, please go to Patreon, join me, support me. It's only $5 a month. And also, I want to just let y'all know that I have 4 books out now. I have 2 children's books. Also, I have the cookbook out, You're Going to Eat That. And book I'm extremely proud of that me and my editor, Michael, worked really hard on. You Ain't Beyond Saving. Please go and check this book out. Look, it's not, for me, it's not about the money. I genuinely believe you're going to love this book. I genuinely believe this book will help you. Everyone who has gotten it and read it so far raves about it. And as a matter of fact, I might actually get them to maybe review it for me on here or something. We'll see. But all you have to do is go to Amazon, type in Randall Via, RANDALL VIA, and those 4 books will pop up. Please check them out. It's something that I'm proud of. It's something that has a lot of meaning to me because for a long time, books were my only friend. I've always dreamed of being a published author, and now I've published 4. With more on the way. So please, do yourself a favor. Get You Ain't Beyond Saving. You know, the other 3, I'll leave it up to your taste and desires, but I really, really think you should get You Ain't Beyond Saving. That one it's a great book, and it really will help you. Thank you. I appreciate y'all's support.
Thank you for using GTL.